Hey, and welcome. I'm glad you are aboard. I'm glad you decided to start this course. I'm really excited to bring something to you that's going to be life-changing. It's going to manifest in a lot of different ways. If you listen to the introduction, I'm pretty sure you've heard me describe that. This idea of this course really came from a topic on our podcast. So the name of this course is How to Start a Church Podcast. It's a mini course. It's going to be 4 sections, 4 lessons, and it's going to be homework and the things for you to apply, and we're going to really get into it. So, before we start, let me tell you who I am. Who am I? My name is Prentiss Thompson. I am the CEO of Invisible Media Consulting and Media Training, which you're doing now. I'm also the author of the Be Invisible series, and it's called The Guide to an Invisible Ministry. I'm the host of the Church Sound podcast, and where we focus on kingdom culture, real life, and how technology intersects. Our show airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm pretty ingrained into what podcasting is. I understand church, and I understand podcasting, and I understand how it works. I understand why it works. So, what I'd like you to do is to make sure you take some notes, pull out your pad, paper, pen, in your computer, on your phone, whatever you need to do to take some notes, because this is going to be very pertinent to you understanding. Now, on our podcast, what we do is we broach topics such as how to deal with an aggressive leader, how to deal with a passive leader, the importance of volunteer, church production. These are all topics that we deem important to the AV ministry. But podcasting, 2 different animals. So we started our podcast almost 2 years ago. We're at about 150 episodes, which we're very happy. It's doing well. And I'm pretty sure some of you are subscribers, and we really appreciate you joining in. But we're going to talk about podcasting today. And it's very important for you to understand why. Why? So I want you to think of podcasting. Before you start, think of it as a traffic light. A traffic light. You got your red light, your yellow light, and your green light. So the red light stands for why. And we're going to call that stop and think. So stop and think. The what is the plan, which is the yellow light. The green is the go, action, the how light. So we're going to talk about the action plan in 3 setups, okay? So stay right there. Why? It's a big question. Why? Think about it. Why? Why do you want to start a podcast? There's 100 reasons why. But the why is the most important thing. What is the central reason? Is it because it's popular? Other churches are doing it. I want to monetize my church, and I want to monetize the ministry. You want to share knowledge, grow a more popular personal profile. I want to create a stronger digital presence for my ministry. I feel I'm directed by the Lord. These are all reasons, but is it why? Why? That's a real simple question, but you need to answer that question. What is the motivation? Why determines what happens next. You may not think that. So what I want you to do now is really, really listen to your heart. Here's some examples. You want to share knowledge. You want to share a specific topic, an area of ministry, pastors, young pastors, retiring pastors, evangelism, outreach in major cities. Maybe it's a multi-ethnic church, multicultural experiences. Do you want to interview guests? You can talk about gardening, landscaping. Do you want to talk about entertainment? Maybe it's current news, current weekly news. Maybe it's a men's group and you're doing like a sports thing. You want to do a sports podcast, but it's football, not soccer, not baseball. Maybe it's arena football, and that's the topic. Maybe it's fantasy league. Maybe it's maybe it's a youth ministry and you're doing Madden gaming. Maybe it's about tennis, boxing, MMA. Maybe it's about church business structure. Maybe it's about that. Maybe it's about nonprofit. Maybe it's about for-profit. Maybe it's like real estate for churches, commercial real estate, for-profit, nonprofit, flipping properties, investing. Maybe it's about tech companies on the rise or young investors under 25. Maybe could it be about college life or HBCU college life or dating in college and dating in high school? Maybe it's about test taking and how to pass the SATs, or maybe going back to school in your 50s and your 60s. What could it be about? It's called Why. Why do you want to start a podcast? And some of you will get a mandate. You got a mandate from your pastor. What we need to do, we need a podcast. Need a podcast. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start a podcast. And no one knows how to do it. No one has a clue. No one knows why. Why? The thing that I found in podcasting is that the why, I know I'm drumming this home and I'm trying to ring this bell and I'm trying to get this nail to you. I'm trying to get this nail in the wood. I'm banging it in. Why? There's a passage in the Bible. I'm not going to read the passage, but it's about when Noah was building the ark. And the ark was made out of gopher wood. Right. Out of all the trees in the forest, across the plains of the world, across the entire world, the globe, the Lord chose gopher wood. Gopher wood. So there had to be a reason why, and there has to be a reason why you want to start a podcast, or your pastor wants to start a podcast, or your church wants to start a podcast. It has to be a reason why. Because the why determines your what. Why you're doing it determines what you're doing. I don't know if you listen to podcasts, but if you do, there's a host by the name of Pat Flynn. He hosts a podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast. It's a great podcast. It's amazing. He has this phrase. He says, there are riches in the niches. I'll say that again. There are riches in the niches. What does that mean? There are riches in the specifics of your podcast or your business or whatever you do. It's better to have 1,000 faithful followers than do a general topic and have people sporadically. You cannot reach people in a sporadic way. You have to reach people in the specifics of their needs and who they are and what they do and what's important to them. If you're starting your podcast for fame, it's not strong enough. If you're starting it to get more, I want to get my church out there. If you're starting it for that, it's not strong enough. If you're trying to just use it to raise money or you're trying to monetize it, it is not strong enough. It has to be stronger than anything I just mentioned. Fame, followers, money, influence has to be stronger than all of that. Let me tell you the reasons why. You look at your numbers for the first week, and you're going to see 2 downloads, 3 downloads, if that. Are you going to be discouraged? And are you going to quit? Because it's not what you thought. Yeah, I'm popular. I got 5,000 people on my Instagram, or the church has 8,000 people on their Instagram, and so we're gonna start a podcast. So immediately people, no. I'm gonna tell you right now, forget about it. It doesn't work that way. Can you do 100 podcasts? 100. Can you do 150 straight? Every time, 100. Can you do it? Can you produce 100 shows without getting discouraged, without quitting, without looking at the numbers and going, God, this is what you told me. This is what you told me. Or was it just me and my emotions? So that's why the why is important, because the why determines what you're doing. And if the why is not strong enough, you will quit. All of a sudden, it'll pass by the wayside. And I'm not telling you something that's easy. It is not easy to produce a podcast and remain relevant and have great content. It's not easy. It requires time and sacrifice. And you have to be willing to put it in. So, whatever point of view that you select, it is directly connected to your audience. Now, there's so many different types of podcasts. You have your church service podcast, those of you who watch Transformation Church, the Mike Todd, great podcast, but it is a church service podcast. Maybe you've seen Marriage Today. Marriage Today is a podcast about marriage within the Christian confines. The ups and downs, the highs and lows, how to navigate marriage in a Christian way. Maybe you love music. A great podcast that I listen to is Questlove Supreme. It's a great podcast about music. I'm a music buff, so for me, that's golden for me. Well, then, shameless plug on the Church Sound podcast. All of these podcasts fall into a category that fits a demographic, and we're going to talk about that. So we talked about why, right? What, why, and what. So this is what I want you to think about. Describe your demographic. Can you describe it? I'm talking to you. Yeah. Can you describe it? What is a demographic? The demographic are various characteristics of a population that include factors such as race, sex, age, population, ethnicity, gender, level of education, income, employment status, occupation, home ownership, birth rates, death rates, marriage rates, religious affiliation, political affiliation, spoken language, geographic location, hobbies, and interests. Who is your listener? Is your listener 35, newly married, small kids? Is your listener 50 to 55, 50 to 65, retired, empty nester, first grandkids? Is your demographic between 15 and 25 that are gamers, that love hockey? Who is your listener? Who is your demographic? Because your demographic will determine everything. It determines everything. It determines your topics. It determines your artwork. It determines the music you select for your show. It determines the guests. Let me tell you what the most important part is. That your demographic is connected to you. It's connected to you. The vision is connected to you. Now, the you can not only be you, but you could be your church. Because every church has a way that they do things, right? The answer is in the mirror. The most important thing you could do is to think about the podcast that you want to create as a fingerprint. A fingerprint that cannot be duplicated. The best thing you can do is be you. Now, be you could be your church, like I said. The be you could be your pastor, a person. The you could be a group of you who are co-hosting a show. The synergy behind it. The you is what makes it you. So the first thing you need to do is don't rob yourself of yourself. Don't rob yourself of yourself. Hashtag be you. Hashtag be you. So, this is what I want you to do for your homework for the first lesson. I want you to listen to podcasts. I mean, listen to a myriad of different types of podcasts. Define the why. Define it. Write it out. Like the word says. Write it out. Make it plain so men may see your vision and follow it. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it means. What is the niche? What's the niche? So listen to podcasts and write notes. Define the why. Define the why. And what is the niche? There's riches in the niches. And I'll see you on session 2.